have even casted teams that just forego space and be like, okay, we're going to play passive on B and we're just going to play retake, or vice versa. We're going to play passive on A and just play retake. And for defense, sometimes, I'm not going to lie, that works.
Yeah.
So we'll see what ends up happening. T1 had a great attacker side, but since then, the map is now defender-sided. Subroza, early pick onto food.
Whoa.
It's actually going very well here for TSM. They break open onto the site. They find 4 picks here. Or sorry, actually, yes, that is TSM. And now just down to one final player. It's brax. He spotted out, and TSM, a flawless pistol, and a message has been sent.
Definitely, and I kind of missed it like at the last second when we were trying to get back into the game, but I think that was just a 5-man push for TSM up on that catwalk side to get those kills into the site quite fast. They did, where T1 caught off guard off that push, and that's a way to start things off here for TSM, because we said they do have technically the harder side right now on the attacker. They get this pistol. Now it's a situation where can they capitalize with 2 in a row? They are upgrading, but the last time that they upgraded, they had marshals or whatnot on Vine, and they paid the price and they got eco when they play the attacker side. This time it's going to be a little bit safer. We are going with Phantoms and Spectres to try to get those kills long range instead. Meanwhile, though, for the defenders, they do have Sheriffs and Ghosts to work with right now for brax and company, and crashies is the first to crash and fall, courtesy of Subroza.
Yeah, early pick here with the Ghost nonetheless, and you know, we have caster vision that the A site's completely clear, but T1 have stacked towards this B mid side, and so for TSM, that's a free open site. Spike will go down, that's more credits in their pockets, and still haven't lost a single member. Cutler was close to being that first member, but manages to escape and has a tripwire, I think, to back it up. Sets up a camera as well. T1 now going to take the catwalk wave. Wardell has to back out. He's got the door as well that's blocking off his potential retreat, but that door reopens, I believe. Skadoodle's going to open it back up. Now playing close to the 50, but there's a pot and plant in his way. And now coming in from behind, it's Subroza. TSM with a great start here on the attacker side.
And sorry, I just saw the delay on the stream here at twitch.tv/Faze, is that they actually did have a pistol round for TSM where they rushed as a group at A main and not on catwalk, so my apologies on that correction. But onto that round with the upgrades that they wanted to work with here for TSM. Like I said, they didn't want to buy too much because they had the respect still versus T1. So they went for the Ghost, they went for a Spectre. I think they only had 1 Phantom in the hands of Faze at that point, and a Spectre for Drone. So he's going to keep it into this round because that was almost a flawless victory that they had on that previous. And it starts off with the paranoia, and this time them just not stopping inside this B side. So we have shock darts from Skadoodle, but the curveball was perfect to get them both blinded, but they still managed to get those kills on a crossfire setup. They drop like flies. Hazed is the last man standing. Camera to be broken, and now spotted as Skadoodle swings out for the kill, and they're going to say, we have the guns now, and we could still dominate this defender side.
No, I was going to say, what you made a mistake? Casters never make a mistake.
That's true.
What do you mean? Yeah, casters
believe what I
never
say.
make a mistake. Yeah, just believe what I say. But yeah, great round for T1. You know, they put 2 on the site there. They hold up. They see the push is coming, and they fall back accordingly. The smoke actually only benefits them. I think that was crashies smoke, though, to give them a little bit more time as the defense was rotating over. But a great hold. They didn't even lose a single person. Now TSM, not really sure what their weaponry looks like. I don't presume it's going to be good.
Yeah, I think at this point, probably not too well, right? But we still have Hazed at least with the Phantom. I see it from the X-Ray. His teammate also has a Phantom. So there's a possibility that it's going to be like a small shield Phantom push right now for TSM because they know they have an opportunity to try to hurt the economy early. Look at that. They battle for the orb. They take it, but to what cost? They get an orb with 2 players down to like low HP. At least, thankfully, Subroza does have the hot hands in the wall, the blaze wall to heal himself up with. So, okay, it's still pretty good. So they pick up that orb. They had to run it back now for Subroza, and they could play off this to get the information or even entries towards A.
And you're seeing some of the members from T1 back away, but for TSM, they have so much mid-control. Drone, almost in the defender spawn of all places, but he's using the dark cover to at least give him some space. And so now T1, 40 seconds left on the clock. TSM have got to act, and they're deciding to choose that the A site will be the site where things are hot and heavy. Now for Drone, he's going to be on rotation duty. I'm not quite sure T1 expect this. So now Hazed setting things up with the paranoia. Wardell with the early op shot with Skadoodle. As he starts to rotate through, will he be spotted out by Drone? He's making sure to cover his flank. He is, but still loses the gunfight. Crashies, though, holding on to the site, eventually loses his life. And now just down to Brax. Has to take the duel with Drone, wins the duel, but now you have to deal with 2 healthy members. Wardell, well, sorry, 1.5 healthy members, but Wardell with the op. Brax, all they need to do is sneeze on him, and those long-range sneezes, we've seen how those can be quite handy. Brax, if he's able to make, like, yeah, if he's even able to win the 1v2, I'd be impressed. So I think backing away is obviously the smarter play here. Yeah. Save the weapon. But let's talk about the repercussions of this, Vansilli. This is a defender-sided map, but look at TSM. They're in the lead. They win a round that they, to be honest, desperately need. And now for the side of T1, I'm not sure what the economy looks like, considering they just won, and now they're going to have, what, 1,900 credits coming into their pocket? That's not a lot of money coming in. It's probably going to be the force up. We're seeing some of the money be kind of okay, but it's not a good sign that you lose a very important round.
Yeah, I mean, when we first looked at Ascent when it first came out, and we were studying how TSM was playing it, since they were like the forerunner of trying to run the metas of not having a Sage or just trying different compositions on Ascent, we saw that it was very slow-paced games, map control, smokes, whatnot. But these rounds, you see how aggressive they are versus T1. That was what? 3 rushes out of 4 rounds where they won 2 out of the 3. And this round, we finally had a lurk play. So they changed their strategy around a bit, and they're really counting on the fact that you want to utilize somebody like Subroza to get those entries and those kills. And while we do have this round that's happening, and it's going to be now the Owl Drone breaking a trap wire, Hazed is going to lurk forward, and it's going to be the same type of strategy. So you're always going to have Hazed, who plays towards his mid side, as well as much as he does on attacker and defender, and then the rest will work as a team to work inside A. But a big curveball to come out, but a trade immediately towards his mid side, and Drone gets 2 more as they're trying to take control of the mid side. So now it's only going to be 1 player stuck inside the A side, 1 player stuck inside B side. One of them, it's going to be the A side that the hit's going to take, and he's going to have to come up huge, but he spotted. Crashies is dropped, and that is courtesy of an off shot from Drone out of all players right now. They'll get the spike plan. Definitely, you know here, Simo, that last player is going to save his gun.
Oof. Okay, so my brain is molding right now. I don't even know what to say. So I know that we're only a couple rounds in, but Vansilli, it seems like every single time we see TSM and T1 face off, it's like Ascent is just this broken attacker-sided map. I mean, yes, it's early to tell, and T1 still need like a couple of gun rounds in them to really see what that looks like. But this is a great start from TSM, like a very good start. If the map is still defender-sided, this is a great start. But I'm having trouble really piece it together, I'm going to be honest, because normally we see teams have such a great hold on some of these sites, and their retakes are even better.
Yeah. No, definitely. And one thing I'd like to add as well as to how it's changed a bit, why maybe we don't see Sage compositions on a map like Ascent, is just due to the fact that when you're looking at this lineup, you're really banking on the duelists to get the entries. What type of duelists do we see so far on Ascent? We have a Phoenix, and we have Reyna as well that can be played from other players, such as Roka from Bloom that we saw earlier on. And I'm pretty sure Asuna also likes to play the Reyna for Immortals on this map. What does that mean? They get the entries, Reyna could get a Devourer and actually heal herself back. Phoenix, Hot Hands, and a Blaze Wall, he could heal himself up. So while they get entries, and if they take control of that, that gives a chance for them to still get healthy players into the site. So instead, you drop a Sage where you could change over for more information with another controller, or you do play these double smokes that could really help out. You could see now for TSM, really having this Omen on their side is definitely the key to one of the winning ways, and of course keeping Wardell onto the Jet. Now Subroza and Hazed getting to 3 openers towards this mid side, and just like that, they're on a 5 versus 2 here, Simo, with not much to work with.
And TSM feels like Brock Lee. They're just taking off the ankle weights. They're ready to fight. I don't even know what's happening. But the biggest problem for me is that I'm still trying to piece together in my head, and I can imagine Chad is saying KW caster, but
definitely
this is a defender-sided map. Why are we seeing TSM just absolutely mop the floor with T1 here? But like it's plays like this that I feel like if you're on the defender side should not be happening. To at least trade things out. And yes, I understand it's the eco T1 not really having the weaponry to duel there, but like you had a crossfire set up. You at least trade one. I understand that Subroza was able to find so many there, but you at least trade one. So now that T1 have the gun round, will we see a comeback here? Is there a possibility for a 7-5? That is my biggest question.
Yeah, so as we had a nice video from the Sentinels calling out the casters on Sentinels not being as good as we thought they'd be, TSM is probably going to do the same thing for me at this point. But we do have a run it back from Subroza. He does get the kill onto crashies no matter what, as he was nearsighted from a paranoia. But Food is doing the same thing. He trades it off Wardell onto AZK. The run it back is now Food is stuck. He opens the curveball, but a trade still comes in. So we do have a 2 versus 3 situation, but a 2 versus 2 on the site. At least the Owl Drone's going to give that position away. But the spike is still towards the wine. So what we could do at least is have Wardell fall back and maybe make his way towards the B side while we still have the lurker of Hazed under the heaven side. So actually he is committing into it. An off-shot miss by Skadoodle. That's unfortunate because usually he doesn't miss those. And then Brax is able to take down Hazed. So we have to act quick here. The Cypher, Wardell gets the kill onto Skadoodle, but it's straight off by Brax. So Cutler, who was on that lurk, on a late lurk, has to try to win a 1 versus 1 versus Brax. And it is going to be Brax that wins it. He had to move a lot faster for Cutler, but he did not, Simo.
And Brax gets his revenge from Bind. That last... You know, one of those last frags on Bind to put the nail in the coffin for T1. But let's have a look at this replay because this was honestly a little chaotic. Yes, TSM, they tried to have this setup. They didn't have anyone playing towards Cat, which to be quite honest, gave a lot of space towards Food to do this. But once he came back, they were still able to get into position to take him out. And unfortunately for Wardell, like you said, he doesn't miss those. But sometimes he does. It's just the way it is, right? Nobody can be perfect. And T1, they find a round and back in their books.
This is an exciting matchup, although it's looking to be very one-sided, but it's just nothing but highlight reels. As Subroza gets 2 headshots, but it's traded off by AZK, so they are trying to switch things over. AZK with an operator could be a possibility eventually that they're going to go with the double off, but Wardell trades it back. And just like that, it continues the aggression for the attacker side. Even lurkers are getting their kills as Drone pops Skadoodle in the face, leaving Brax in another situation where he's looking to clutch. He's done it before, but it was only a 1 versus 1. This time, it is a 3 versus 1. He has a neural theft. So if he actually gets the first kill here, throws the hat, gets the last 2, he could actually manage to make it a 2 1 versus 1s, but it's not going to be the case because Drone was waiting for him inside the garden, and it's now 6-2 in favor of TSM. Resetting back here versus T1.
Listen, I feel like the worst caster ever. Ever since that matchup that you and I casted during the T1 Valorant Showdown, it was T1 versus TSM, and I was like, oh, wow, this is attacker-sided. T1, they had such a great time, and then they just closed it out. TSM still had some competitive rounds. But since that match, I'm like, yeah, Ascent's attacker-sided. And I see teams just wipe out, and the defense just too hard to break through. Is this just opposite day? Is this an episode of SpongeBob that I haven't seen? Because this is nuts.
It's definitely Stranger Things.
Yeah. Okay. You got me there. T1 though, they're gonna need some better weaponry than just some of these Stranger Things. I see a shorty in the hands of Brax, but now TSM looking to clear out some of these angles towards this B site. But T1, they're ready. The defense has arrived. Vansilli, how are T1 going to defend this push?
Well, you see that they really want to take the advantage of pushing towards the spawn side for the attackers, so they smoked out towards the lane. They get the Owl Drone for the defenders, but as they take control of the shed and the market side, they're forcing the defenders to push through their own smokes or even through Haze's dark cover, and they're just getting depicked. And it works out with a flawless round, a perfect execution for TSM. 7-2 right now, as it's the worst hand dealt in poker, and you can see that it's the first scoreline to see T1 play here on the defender side. I'm still going to stand my ground as to see towards this mid-time of the meta that defender side is still a very comfortable pick for a lot of these teams, right? 95% at least from what I've seen in terms of vetoes, map picks, defender side, at least in this tournament. I've seen nothing that's been happening in the Faze Discord at discord.gg/Faze, by the way, that it's all been those teams that always choose that defender side first.
Yeah, but even looking at like the PAX Invitational, Sentinels, they win 9-3 on defense, and they just sweep TSM on the attack. It's a defender-sided map, but TSM, it's something in the play style here, and maybe we need some VOD review, maybe we need to look back, because T1, like, they're holding the angles, they're setting up crossfires, they're playing unpredictable, they're switching up the setups on the B site, on the A site, and TSM are just like, yeah, we're going to do the same thing, we're going to outduel, and you're going to cry about it. Like, you're going to feel the pain of TSM.
They are definitely feeling the pain here, Simo, at this point. 7-2 as they're still moving forward, and a run it back here, possibly to be a fake. You can see it. It's him by himself. Subroza going with the curveballs. He's already pulled out 2 players towards that market side, and the third to rotate, as a walker at least, though. And the rest are still looking to execute towards A. But there you go. That totation already comes back from AZK towards that garden. You have the smokes and the paranoia coming out here from the defender's side, as crashies does connect, but Joel still gets the kill onto Food. As the cyber cage dissipates, AZK already on a rotation, gets 2 kills, drops the spike carrier, but it's going to be redeemed and picked up here by Cutler very soon. You still have crashies inside the site, but they are still committing towards this A side with 20 seconds left on the clock. They have to.
They have to get that spike down. Crashies, though, is going to deal with the generator player. It's Cutler. He comes through, and now spike going down. 14 seconds remain, but now that that spike's in, Brax going to do his due diligence and take out his alter ego. Now the 2v2. Let's see how Brax does it. Does have his teammate up on heaven, but Subroza playing towards the tree room and watching for any of those flanks. This gives Wardell a lot of space to play towards hell, but now the jig is up, and Neural Theft will spot out some of those players. Subroza gonna start to double back, help out with the hot hands. Here comes the rotation, but Wardell smoking himself off. I think he hears one drop. Now through the smoke, finds Brax. Still one more player remains. Subroza, here comes the swing. It's Skadoodle. He's got to deal with 2. He finds 1. That's gonna be the recouple, but can he defuse in time? He needs to stick it, and pros don't think. Here's the swing, and Subroza puts us at 8-2 for TSM.
That is amazing. A great round there on that 2 versus 2, pretty much. I thought it was going to be such a good position for Wardell when he made it down towards that hell, right? Because when Brax actually got the kill onto Cutler, yes, he saw Cutler get picked off, but I don't think he saw Wardell made it towards that hell side. Thankfully, though, he had a neural theft from his own, and he threw that hat, and both positions were given away, so the advantage then came back towards T1 on that retake. But the way that Subroza played it, hot hands towards that ground, and a cloud burst coming in for Wardell makes it easier for Wardell to stay alive as they're pushing down on that rotation, and it just did a great job to sandwich the last 2 players and get that round. So this round now, 8-2, you see T1 gonna be on a save round as the first one fell down early towards this B entrance, and it's looking to be so far an open B site, one lurking towards mid. It's going to be Cutler playing that information, trying to get as many kills as he can. He's only able to take 1, but could give that call that there's 2 players on that mid side, and the third one now should be maybe spotted towards that market, but he's going to play it a little bit more passively as the Omen right now.
And Subroza, he's going to be anticipating a push forward, going to find 1. There's the spray transfer, still 1 more remains. It's crashies. And that's another round here for TSM, looking to take us potentially to double digits, but of course for T1, 3 ultimates available, and the weapon round to boot. But on the opposite side, Subroza, 1 away from running back, Wardell, 1 away, Hazed as well, 1 away, and Skadoodle. So a lot of ultimates potentially could come into play. Expect a lot of orb control, and already you're seeing TSM poised towards the fish market. But having a look at the replay, it's Subroza just in the right place at the right time and sees a lot of those T1 members in translation towards that B site. And so now, the last round of the half, Vansilli, T1, they're anticipating a push from TSM towards the fish market. They've done it every single round, but still the paranoia works out well, and they don't even need the orb point as Subroza now has run it back. Expect that to be used to clear it out. And Food, he's got one of his own. But will he spot Wardell? I don't think so.
Even on top of that, maybe he's had enough information to run it back as well, coming from Subroza, though. So he's going to look to clear out towards the garden side. He's pushing forward. Meanwhile, Haze, again, lurking towards mid, gets that frag onto crashies, and no footsteps were heard, at least from AZK, towards the Rafters area. So they are still pinned close towards his catwalk. Food looks to push back, and he goes aggressive, gets the kill onto Subroza, then falls back. But the Hunter's Fury to come out from Drone. He does not connect on the second one and does not get the kill. So Food stays alive. On top of that, closes the door and is trying to keep the dream alive here for T1 to hopefully make it a 9-3 on a side that they should be taking here. Owl Drone is going to spot out AZK, forced to fall back. but Food's still in a great position from A main, so they could still pinch in towards the attacker side.
And that's potentially all she wrote. The 4v2 brax now rotating back towards with the opposite Food as well, who's been really holding down this location here, but really nobody's come to contest him. And so I don't really know if they anticipate him being back there. That's going to be one that comes easy, but still has to deal with a couple more players. Spike is down, and unfortunately Flashes himself. He does have the Blaze Wall to heal himself back up to full. Now reloading the clip. Brax, though, has to be careful as Wardell has control of Heaven. There is going to be a tripwire that he's got to deal with. Tries to spray through, but blindly through the smoke. It's Wardell that sends Food to the graveyard, and now the 1v3 from the shadows will come through. It's just a debate. But now I think TSM, they're going to take it to double digits. 2-10. What a great half from them.
Brax looking to move forward, but they're closing in there on that garden. He spots the barrel of the gun and just goes for 2 quick bursts in the face to execute Brax. And like you called it here, Simo, 10-2 on the half. Not something that I expected here at this point on the first half for TSM. Definitely the coach is probably going to DM me later saying, what the hell were you thinking? Going against us here on a map on Ascent. Probably the same thing for chat, as we do have 30,000 just hanging out, molding over the calls, but it's okay. I love to be wrong when we're seeing such a dominant performance from TSM at that point. I'm wondering what the strategy here for Subroza as an in-game leader. So far for me, in my head, I'm thinking Subroza saying, guys, just play off me. Let me try to get a kill, we'll work off it. Because so far, the amount of first kills that he's had in this matchup, it'll be nice to see actually the final scoreboard of this matchup to see how many first kills Subroza is able to get, at least overall in the series, if they continue their dominant fashion on the defender side.
Yeah, that'll be kind of the biggest question mark for me. You know, considering Subroza's taken over that role for Drone, and now we're seeing an early push. Subroza, speaking of first blood, that's going to send Brax. Of course, there is the refrag, and so now the 4v4. And, you know, we haven't really talked about this, but if TSM win the pistol, it could potentially put them at match point. I mean, we have said this is a defender-sided map, but we've seen previously at the T1 showdown that T1 play a pretty mean attacker side too, and it was really ultimately what what put TSM in a lost position on that first map. Wardell going to find another one. Now it's the 3v4, and this pistol's already looking real good for TSM.
That's right, a 3 versus 4. Spike Elite still up now for T1 as they're regrouping now from this mid side to B main. Only one player playing in there, but technically the camera is going to give enough. So Cutler at this point, you see how passive he is towards the spawn side. So he's going to play the camera, tag a few guys, probably let them come in, because look how far his teammates are. They're putting so much aggression towards the A main, watching from the catwalk side. So he's okay to let these guys plant. And then he's just going to wait for his teammates to rotate back. Just going for a couple of bursts through the smoke, not able to get any kills. Now he's falling back towards that spawn, and it's actually going to be 4 players that are going to move through here towards the spawn side into B.
No, I think that was a tripwire that was able to see Food pushing in, because I was like, how did they see him? How did they tag one? I think it was
they had the camera too. Color was playing the camera towards B main.
I was like, how did Drone send an arrow all the way across the map? I was like, that's impressive. But now they push in. A shot's going to start to come through. They need to be careful because already TSM's there. They find 2. 1 more remains. He's backside. It's Food. And down to the graveyard. The muck of the swamp here. He goes as TSM put us 11-2. Vansilli, if you told me that this was going to be the scoreline moving into the second half, I would have not believed you. But
I don't believe myself right now.
Yeah, but like you said, like statistically speaking, T1 they had the map veto. They won TSM's map pick. Like statistically, things were going their way. They even won the coin flip on Ascent and chose the side that they want. And so here we are, near the end of the road, and T1 are not looking as good as we had even originally anticipated.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't think necessarily it's like T1 looking good, but it's just how good TSM is on this map with how many, again, opening kills Subroza is getting for the team. Because we do nothing. He's getting kills on rotation as a alert. That's pretty much it. So far, we usually talk about how good Wardell is on that operator, playing that attacker defender side, whatever it is on Ascent. But his name is barely screened, as it's just right now Subroza getting the entries. And now they're splitting into this site again on the retake for TSM. So it's a 5 versus 5. It's going to be a bloodbath here, Simo.
Yeah, it's going to be Wardell that finds the early pick. It's not Subroza. Crashies. He's going to see one. Sprays with the Spectre, and it works out well. AZK as well. It's only Subroza that is able to answer for some of the spins that have been committed by the other members. But now as they jump in, it's Skadoodle and AZK that defend the site. And they deny match point here for TSM. And still have that buffer. They still have that one-round buffer. I'd love to see the scoreboard just to see what the economy looks like, because normally you don't lose that round, especially having all the weaponry. And now that T1 get to upgrade, TSM, correct call. Immediately down to the save. Let's just not risk it. We've got a lot of rounds that we can still play. And they'll be in a gun round in the round to follow.
Yeah, even on top of that, when they had shorties or whatnot on that second round, they're even deciding to go for nothing at all, with the exception of Subroza. Okay, never mind. They know the purchases aren't that expensive, right? A Ghost at 500 credits, a Shorty at 200, and it could still do a lot of damage. So what they want to do here is hurt the economy on T1's side, maybe salvage even some Bulldogs if they could, and they're using these pistols because they want to take control of A side so they could take the orb. So they don't mind sacrificing each other just to get that orb, and it works out in their favor. They've lost 2 players on top of that, but look at the overhead. At that point, I think they wanted to get the Blade Storm for Wardell so he could pop it out and actually go for a couple of kills. Should T1 have not pushed that many players or have that many players watch that flank here, Simo. So if Wardell was able to get that, then cool. But as Wardell dies, no matter what, he would have had the Blade Storm into the next round. So I do respect the gamble that they had for TSM on that round.
Yeah, and now for Wardell, if he decides to go back down to Eco at some point, he's got that ultimate that can really make a difference, and we've seen him be that difference maker, Eco round or not, right? We've seen that Blade Storm come through, and impactful it is. But Wardell, I think he's looking to use it this round because he's got the shorty, and maybe looking to try to save for that operator as soon as possible. And on the defensive side, that's where it's really going to work out anyways, right? So look at the updraft here, at least trying to send one of those flying through. I don't think he lands anything, and now getting a little bit more involved with the shorty. T1, once they know that Wardell is there, they back away and want nothing to do with it. And in some of these cases, you don't want to deal with the star player and you know exactly where he is. It's time to head home. Let's go to somewhere completely different.
Yeah, and it seems as though they're still going to play it slow right now for T1. Subroza is looking to play through the dark cover that was thrown here from crashies as Wardell is going to push forward, and he does get the buckshot into food. So at that point, now it's going to be 1 player down, a weapon salvage, Cutler pushing forward, getting a frag, and Subroza doing the same thing. Somehow they're turning the round over here, looking for a flawless as the spike is down for the attackers. Crashies pushing through, is able to spot Cutler to force him back towards his B side, but as they have now 5 players, a 3-player crossfire set up inside the market, you're pretty much done for, Crashies. 1 to swing across, he gets a dink but no kills, but because he only had a Spectre at that point, very tough to do, and brax as he lurks, pretty much at this point, trying to lurk on a 5 versus 1, 30 seconds left on the clock. You're looking at map and series point here for TSM, and we thought this was going to be a banger. It is a banger no matter what, but at least a closer matchup on this third map that we haven't seen so far. T1 able to pick it up.
Okay, let's play devil's advocate here for 1 quick second, okay? We saw on Split T1 have such a great start on that map, right? It's very convincing. But then once they swapped sides, TSM just turned up the juice. There was, and I mean, it brought it close. It brought it within 13-11. But originally we were like, okay, T1, all they got to do is just clean this up. They had a great half. TSM are struggling. They even lose the pistol, I think, to start that off. It was just not good, right? But now, I feel like we're seeing a completely different TSM from that first map. They're awake, they're alive, and they're hungry. They want to be the #1 team, and considering their arch nemesis, their arch rival, Sentinels, there's talk in the town, and the town scryer is saying that Sentinels are #1. TSM want nothing to do with that. They want to prove them wrong, and it starts here by beating T1.
And now at least a lot of information coming through here. Subroza with the run it back, spotting 3 players towards his B side. So he's going to try to work it back. Oh my god, food! Blinded, gets the headshot as he's trying to get the orb, but why? He got the kill, he had to run it back, and that's why he said, okay, I'm going to leave it for another one of my teammates maybe to pick it up. But this is going to be huge. Wardell has to hold as much as he can. Everybody's falling back towards his mid side, though, as we do have crashies able to spray down Hazed to 16 HP. So they are being chipped down towards his B defense, even a backstab from crashies. T1 is trying to keep this alive here in this series.
Yeah, Wardell now, he's going to be the first contact point, and if he survives, if he finds two, it's money, but unfortunately it's just coins. Now there's going to be a couple of kills traded just down to the last and final player. It's Cutler. And that spike, of course, going to be going down very shortly here for T1, just clearing some of the back corners there to make sure that there's no pesky TSM player lurking. Cutler likely looking to just save some of that weaponry and use that camera to spot out where those players might be lurking from in that post-plant position. And so at this point, I think T1 are considering a push-in from Cutler, which is why they're still holding, which is why they're not hunting. For the side of Cutler, he's obviously going to save, and T1, they stick around for yet another round. And for the side of TSM, still have a pretty big buffer of rounds that they can bleed. But I'd love to know what the economy looks like additionally in that round to follow, because I can't imagine it's good. I think this is, yeah, I can't imagine it would be that good.
Yeah. But that's why you're right here at this point, Simo. They could afford to bleed out a few rounds. As a TSM fan, you're like, we really want this to finish 13-5, 13-6, whatever, as fast as we can. But for TSM as the players, all they want is the map. Winning the map, whether it's 13-11, 16-15, or 16-14 rather, TSM just wants to win the series so that it could continue the rivalry to stay on top versus T1. Sorry, and at that point, the money is still great for TSM, despite them losing the last round, because of how well they played this defender side. You know, the rounds that they've won, they actually won them with not a lot of players dead, right? I think even one of them was a flawless round too, when they were trying to pinch in towards his mid side, which they're doing again.
Wow. That's very unfortunate when you try to hop through and you're looking for support. Wardell finds another. This could be the ticket here. TSM fans rejoice as we are nearing the potential end here for the last and final map. Hayes now going to swing forward. AZK will answer back, and Cutler now trying to rotate from the back, but that spikes down, and T1 have to work all the way back around to get it. Subroza holding down this angle. Brax on the opposite side, now going to try to dry peek through. Does not have the support of his team. Wardell going to be looking towards the fish market. Here's the swing, spots out Subroza, headshot's good, and here comes Wardell, jumps up, and he will go back down immediately now as that spike still not picked up. Here's the swing. Brax will fall down to one final player. It's AZK. Headshot's good. Now the 1v2. The smokes go down, but has to push in regardless. That spike is in enemy territory. There are 40 seconds left that remain. Now the smokes slowly going to subside. It is going to be Cutler and Wardell, the last remaining members here for TSM in a 1v2. AZK gets tagged, has to take out that tracking dart, but TSM, they're just holding on to that spike. 20 seconds remain, and AZK, he's got no choice. He has to push in. Only has the Molotov. That's going to be the Blade Storm. He gets spotted out. Has to push forward. It's Cutler. It's Cutler. It's Cutler. Wins the final frag here for TSM. And